Here's a short story about a husband and father who's 34 years old, who up until this point thought he truly had an amazing marriage, great wife, great mother, that type of thing. And lo and behold, finds out that back in college 13 years ago, she used to regularly service his roommate. And when I say service, think hot dog eating contest. And now he's obviously dealing with and handling this accordingly. Titled, I found out from my wife that she had oral, you know what, with my roommate when we were in college. He says, we've been a couple since we were 21 years old. She was the second girl I ever dated and the girl I lost my virginity to. And she told me too, that I was the guy she lost hers to. I know a lot of people here, or for a lot of people here, it doesn't mean much, but I took great pride in her and our marriage because of that. Yep. Well, maybe she did lose hers to you, but there was other things going on after that, or during that. In my senior year of college, I became roommates with this guy that was really popular in a frat. I remember that he would sleep with tons of girls. He was really good looking and was known for having a huge package. I remember a lot of people found him to be an a-hole, but because he was rich, he would throw the best parties and everyone sucked up to him. Interesting choice of words. And clearly your wife did too. When I met my wife, I took a lot of pride in the fact that she wasn't captivated by this guy's charm, that she was better than all the girls. Okay, so this guy is a frat boy, and usually, not all, but usually, they're douchebags in varying degrees. And he comes from money. Not his money, daddy's money, or grandpa's money. I'm sure some of you guys encountered them. Recently, my wife got a friend request from this guy, and she accepted. I asked her about it, and she said she was curious to see what he was up to. I remember then that I would see her obsessively on his page, and even private messaging him sometime. That is completely unacceptable. I don't care if they were acquainted because this guy was this dude's roommate. Doesn't matter. You know, yes, people send friend requests and everything on Facebook all the time, but that she's actually on his page all the time and she's chatting with him, no, not acceptable. She's a married woman and a mother. This guy isn't out there talking to other women. Well, watch this. I got really angry and confronted her. We had a long talk and then she admitted to it. That there were times back in college when she would come to my dorm room, and while I was gone, she would mess around, using that in air quotes, with my roommate. At first, she told me that he would beg her for a kiss and get him to stop, and then she'd give him a kiss. Trickle truth. I could tell she was lying. I started asking for the whole truth, and she said that a couple of times she did blow him. That's a lot different than a kiss. A couple of times. Define a couple of times. She said that she was really curious because so many girls were talking about his package. I actually believe that. I kid you not, because women are always competitive with each other. There's a rumor going around about this hot guy who they seemingly is hot in their eyes, and he's very well endowed, very good in bed. That is not impossible to believe. And, well, everybody else has gotten a piece of him. I got to see what he's like. I asked her how many times it happened. She said it was too long ago for her to remember, but she said it was more than 3 times. Too long ago, I guarantee. Well, okay, I guarantee she knows it was more than 3 times. Guaranteed. And if that number was so, anybody can remember, okay, 3 times or 4 times. I think you could remember. But obviously that number was so high she couldn't possibly remember, and it's not going to tell him. This is like out of the movie Clerks, when Dante finds out that his girlfriend sucked 36 you-know-whats, and he's like, why don't you just sleep with him like a normal person? You know, and that bothered him way more because, you know, this guy's roommate's blasting his load in her freaking mouth. This is his wife. He married her thinking that she was true and blue and honest. Meanwhile, she's sucking his neighbors and his roommates, you-know-what. Totally misled him, and all these years later, and now she's talking to this dude on social media? Oh, my God. From talking to her, she said that she swears they never had sex, and I believe her. At this point, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if also she was giving him some caboose action, too, to add more insult to injury here. But I'm still deeply hurt by the BJ thing. I see the BJ's worse, frankly. I've been married to her for over 10 years, and in that entire time, she has only rarely given me the BJs. That makes it even worse. I forgot about that. Had no problem doing that to that guy back in college. Why? Because he was the guy that every girl wanted. He was the Chad. He was the rich guy, the frat guy, and all that. But you, just your husband, you know, rarely gives them. Newsflash, if your woman is really attracted to you, she sees you as a prize, whether she's been your girlfriend for a month or your wife for 30 years, she will give you BJs. Trust me. Now to find out, while she was with me, she was giving it to this other guy. I don't know how I feel. We have a family now, and I don't want to break it up. But I can't say that I see my wife the same way anymore. I made her delete and block all communication with the guy. Now I don't even want to touch or kiss my wife anymore. I wouldn't want to get anywhere near those lips. Both lips. I love what I thought our marriage was. Now I don't know what to think of anymore. Of all the people in the world, I never thought my wife would have ever cheated on me. This poor bastard. And maybe it's possible that ever since college, he never ever got physical with anybody else again. But the fact that he reached out to her, and then he said obsessed with his page, and she was chatting with him, that tells me that she's up to no good. And there's no way that stopped. There's no way this marriage is going to work anymore. He married her. He married her with her thinking she was a certain way, and she led him to believe that she was cheating on him, and probably wasn't the only one. And worse yet, was regularly servicing that guy, probably more than 3 times that his you-know-what was in her mouth. And she still, and I bet you this guy would come back to the dorm after class. She's like, baby, and would kiss him after sucking that guy's you-know-what. I'm sure there's no Listerine used in the bathroom between servicing the roommate and seeing her boyfriend back then. And he married her thinking that she was one way, but she's something else. Well, the sad thing is a lot of guys have been in that situation. And all those years later, he's married to a woman who he thought she was, and now she's rekindling things with this guy. Because you know that's what's going on. No, it's over. And the sad thing is, they've married 10 years. They obviously have little kids. A gay doesn't want to break up a family, but he's not going to get past this. He's never going to trust her again. These stories all go the same way. These guys, they don't want to break it up because of the kids. They want to forgive because they want to go through a messy divorce. And they spend the rest of the time sleeping with one eye open, always watching her, always wondering, feeling disrespected. The love is gone. The kids notice, and eventually they break up anyway. So if I'd go to his fucking lawyer and find out his options, and it ain't going to be pretty because he's been married 10 years, and they got 2 kids. He's probably going to get the house and custody. And I guarantee you that he'll have friends and family that say he's the bad guy because, oh, you should just let it go. He was back in college. You weren't together that long. You've been married for all these years. You have kids. Guarantee he's going to get that. And he has to do what he needs to do. His mind and his heart will say, I'll stay there for the kids, but his gut is never going to be happy, ever. That's what I think about this whole situation. And the sad thing is, this is a tale as old as time, you know? But hey, I'm going to read a few comments here before I wrap this up. One guy says here, I'd be more concerned about her stalking him online and the current contact than what happened 13 years ago. Although that's really shitty too. I really want to know, number one, why isn't she so ashamed of what she did that she would avoid contacting him at all? And 2, why in the hell you should believe anything she says? She has no shame. That's the whole point. And yeah, I wouldn't believe anything. Because remember, at first it was just, oh, you know, he was trying to get me to kiss him. The next thing you know, oh, and by the way, I was sucking his you-know-what. But only 3 times. Your marriage is built on a huge lie. I'm sure you can see how getting past this is going to be. It's better for your kids you break up if you live a life of passive-aggressive resentment. You're modeling what a pair bond is to your kids. Do you really want them in the kind of relationship you're having with your wife? You're never going to know the truth, not the full truth anyway. Man, you are in a tough spot. And the thing is, this guy was his roommate. Now, not all roommates are bros, but you'd think there'd be some kind of code of loyalty. This rich asshole in the frat probably just enjoyed doing that, you know? Guy also says, get with a therapist for yourself and as a couple. Even if you can never forgive her, you'll need to co-parent these kids for years to come. You'll need to get to the point where you can have an effective parenting partnership, if nothing else. So anyhow, there you go. I could read more, but I think y'all get the gist of it. But anyhow, yeah, that's such a shame for this guy. But that's what happens, unfortunately. I'm not saying all the time, but a lot of time these things come up. But yeah, the fact that she's talking to the guy now and stalking his page, I don't believe that was the only time it happened back in college. And she's been this sweet and innocent, loving girlfriend ever since they said I do. Bullshit. So he's every right to kick her to the curb. He's probably not going to do that, but eventually I think he's going to realize he has no choice. Don't fall for her tears and control the narrative, because if you don't, she will, and it's not going to be pretty.